All right, so welcome. We are going over entropy in objective personality today. And so entropy is basically the order of, it's a measurement of disorder within a system. And so this whole concept, I think, heavily relates to objective personality and how all the coins work, and also how we ourselves work, how we perceive information, as well as how we exert our own energy and behave in the world. So, every action you can kind of measure entropy associated with that action. And so I'm going to be going over specifically the animals and objective personality and how they relate to entropy. All right. So, why entropy and objective personality? So, when we don't understand when we can't predict the level of chaos that something is too chaotic or not, or too boring, we end up in this situation where we are out of touch with reality. We are not congruent with what's happening. We don't understand, hey, why is this thing so crazy? Or why am I the crazy one here? Or like, it's um, if we don't understand how entropy works, we end up in a situation that's really chaotic and we don't know what to do. We were not able to see it coming that things went wrong, or our life isn't going the way we planned it, or expectations are being missed left and right. But yeah, we kind of move on, right? And so we're not really convinced that you can predict everything, that you can actually be very settled with how things are going and how things have went in the past, how things will go in the future. Um, you know, for example, if there's an economic collapse, like, oh, that's just entropy, really. And so understanding entropy and also relating that with objective personality, it gets us to understand more personally how we can see certain things coming. And I know I have NI fourth, so it's surprising you hear this from me, but yep, I got NI for days these days. So let's keep it going. All right, so what is entropy? Again, it is the degree of randomness within a system. Another way to say it is a measurement of disorder within a system. So there's high entropy is a high degree of randomness and a high degree of disorder, and low randomness or low entropy is a low level of randomness and low level of disorder. So, like a solid has low entropy, and a gas has high entropy. There's a higher number of possible states. You can also think of it as a configuration. So, if you're in a low entropy configuration, you're more of a solid. If you're in a high entropy configuration, you're more like a gas. And so, continuing on here with entropy, like, why are we studying this in objective personality? So we want to predict the degree of disorder, chaos versus stability in life situations, things, and people interactions, people. So decider problems, observer problems, want to be able to we want to be able to predict the degree of disorder before things happen. And so imagine you want to go to Times Square, right? And it's super crowded. You didn't see it coming. You didn't know that it was a high entropy situation. You thought you could go see these things, you could go hang out with those people, but little did you know it's all this random people chaos and things chaos. Like maybe you get mugged or something, right? And you're like, oh, I didn't see that coming. It's like, hey, you're in Times Square, you're gonna get mugged. Like it's a high entropy environment, and so when you're getting all these weird things happen to you, and you don't know why the external world is coming after you, it's sometimes it can just be a situation of misjudging the degree of entropy in that situation. So on the other hand, if you are in a low entropy situation, it's kind of stagnant and it's boring a little bit even, right? But that could be a good thing. Depends on the situation, right? The life situation or the person interaction. Maybe you want to be around someone who isn't super stimulating, who isn't the Times Square equivalent of a person, right? Or maybe you're not interested in that. You need stimulation, right? So low entropy, this is a picture of like someone in a waiting room where maybe you don't even have magazines or there's no one else waiting in there. You can't start a conversation. You kind of have to go inward in that case. And, where are you going to go? What are you going to think about? Like, how are you going to handle this entire lack of chaos, lack of disorder? So we're now looking into the animals and their entropic expression. So this is the first lens, first of many lenses that we can look at entropy with within the objective personality system. So the first animal we're going to look at is the most chaotic one. That's play. And so that's OE and DE. That's gathering all the things and talking to all the people, or just being around people. I know maybe feelers don't talk; they just facially express themselves or whatever they're doing, right? And so the green things over here are the things, and the purple circles are the people. Okay, so in play, you have a high degree of entropy, a high number of possible states with the things, right? There's lots of things. And then you also have a high number of possible states and configurations with the people. Maybe they form cliques. Maybe they have different ways that they set themselves up. Maybe they do know each other. Maybe they don't. Who knows? How are they going to? The more people are there, you don't really know what is exactly going on with them. And so, for example, here you have a festival. And yeah, the number of things you can do is many, and the number of people you can talk to is also many. It's, a lot of possibilities. And so that's a high entropy situation. A lot of things can go right, and a lot of things can go wrong. And so it's, very chaotic. But if you know that going into it, it's okay. Okay, so we're going in the order of my animal stack. So after play is consume here. So we have all the things for the self. So, what are all the things that the self wants or is going to have or is going to go for? We have here some guy who is having all the things at a buffet. This is consumed. This is, a high degree of entropy, high amount of variability, and not really variability, but there's a high degree of randomness. Like, see, none of these food items necessarily relate with each other. They're just all these different options for the self. It's not shared among more than one person. It's for one person, all the things. And so when you're sharing consume with someone else, you're still in this picture, they actually have different things on their plate. Two individuals, two different consumes, maybe they both have FI. Even if they both had FI, they might both like different things. And so, continuing on here, the lowest entropy animal is sleep. So, when you lower the entropy and you stop all that gathering nonsense and you lower the entropy on the thing, you're going over a single thing. For example, if I had gone over this video 100 times before doing it, that would be really good sleep. It would be really good control on the thing. It would be really lowering the entropy of what I'm going to say in this video. It would have been the 100th time that I'm telling you this, right? And so that is really low entropy on the thing. And we're still consistently, just like the consume, we're having low entropy on the self. And what this means is you're developing your own subjective preferences and you're really saying, not that, not that, not that. You want a specific, very controlled, low randomness, uh, more order, less disorder, right? And so it's so you want a very ordered thing for the self. You want very, something that's not random for the self. Continuing on here, it's yeah, this is like a bedroom. So no, it is a bedroom, and the bedroom where you sleep, right? Like, how do you keep it? That's a very good example of your sleep, your literal sleep. Like, if you're not taking care of yourself, and maybe you don't make your bed, it's all subjective preference. Like, what level of disorder are you tolerating in your bedroom? You know, there's subjective preferences, like what is this ring doing here, right? Like that's a person's subjective, um, their choice of what order means to them. So there are less things for the self, and it's the self subjective preference. And here you got someone sitting on a park bench who knows what they're going over in their head over and over, for hours and hours on end. Very low degree of randomness. This person is not moving around, scaring ducks and feeding squirrels. They're not doing that. They're just sitting on a bench doing nothing, bothering nobody. Just sleep. Just low order of randomness, low degree of randomness, low degree of disorder. So now we're back to a little bit higher entropy with the people. We have all the people. It's still communicating a singular idea. So this is about communication because it's taking one thing that you've gone over, maybe again, like 100 times, right? Like a YouTube video. And then you're trying to cater to the high degree of randomness that is all the people. So all the people need to follow your singular narrative or story that you're setting up. Step by step, you're going to go over the story, like in TED. So TED Talks, they have this little red dot and all the people. So it perfectly explains singular idea and all the people that have all these different backgrounds that you cannot predict who's sitting in that chair, what did they go through in their life, what happened to them today. You don't know. But this same thing that the person has gone over, low randomness on the idea, low disorder, low entropy on the idea, but then high entropy with like, hey, this needs to apply to everybody. Everybody needs to be able to follow this. This isn't a sleep story. It's a tribe story. It's I need to be able to communicate this story to all the people. And I'm very much like the video I'm doing right now. I'm trying to blast. And am I doing it like this guy who kind of looks like he maybe is struggling? Um, Certainly this guy is. And this is a lot closer to how I sound right now, which is, I'm trying to communicate this story. I have all this information. Have I really narrowed it down? I'm not sure. I did my best. What am I going to do, right? But I'm trying to talk about entropy and objective personality, trying to combine them. There's a high degree of randomness of like the people watching. I don't know what your background is. Maybe you understand entropy and not this video. Maybe you understand objective personality, but you don't know why I'm tying entropy into it. Or maybe there is one person out there who does understand. But that's what Blast is trying to do. And this slide was supposed to be more of a joke. But one takeaway, because I really want to give something practical with all this talk about entropy. For myself, being energy dominant, I do have a balance with play and sleep. And so when it comes to entropy, play is the highest degree of entropy. Sleep is the lowest degree of entropy, right? So the least disorder with sleep is the highest disorder with play. And when you combine that, you really start understanding the depth of yourself. And as you get to know people through the play, you start understanding, you start having this realization that every random passerby or person you know in your life is living a life as vivid and complex as your own. And this is where you kind of get over that humility of, holy crap, like I'm going through so much and so is this other person. That's incredible. That's amazing. Like, wow. It's just understanding this, how much you've been through and just having that thought that someone else also is also going through something just as complex as you, maybe more, maybe less, but like, you know, just even that notion, it's a lot to deal with, a lot to grapple with. Moving on, so key takeaways that, hopefully I wanted to come out with, but I'm not sure it's actually happening, but I wanted to give space, life, and room to breathe for the chaos and stability in your life, as well as your interactions with people. So just having that understanding that things can be wild or they can be very calm, and just knowing that the two exist. There's calm and there's chaos, and in other people, maybe you're the chaotic person, maybe the other person is calm, maybe you need both, maybe you are both, right? You just give yourself that space to really embody both chaos and stability, depending on what the situation calls for. And yeah, just understand that it's just kind of entropy, it's just disorder. This stuff is inevitable. If you're gonna go talk to a certain person, you know that person is gonna be chaotic, or you know this person's not gonna give you anything. In the more low entropy situation, that they're not gonna give you that word of advice, or that those loving words or whatever. But maybe it's just a person who just doesn't really say much, right? Just understand that there are different states that people can be in. It's physically true. And my opinion is that from a personality perspective, we have these different states where we may have high orders of entropy and low orders of entropy. So in the future, this was really meant as a foundation for future videos on entropy and objective personality, because there are a lot more coins that relate to this topic in a more profound way. You can maybe guess and extrapolate from this video like what that could be and what I would try to say, or just wait for the next content. I will have more videos coming in weekly. Um, there'll be practical tools. I'm going to continue with theories. I still have so many um, video ideas to do. So hopefully I'll be churning that out. I actually have a challenge this month in January to do a video every week. We'll see how that goes. And if I really run out of ideas, I'm going to do some, experience based videos here and there. But I have a ton of ideas. Anyway, hope you can click the subscribe button if you haven't already. And to those who do, thank you. And thank you. Yeah. Share the video with anyone you think might be interested, and leave a comment. Finally, check out the links below. I'm going to put some good ones down there, and then also, um, I do have a Calendly link. I'm not sure how many months I'll leave that on there, but for now, it is. Yeah, it's an opportunity to book some time with me. Uh, yeah, get it while it's good, and take care.